Medyo mahina, ma'am, ang boses.
Sige. Nakasan ko lang. Tell me ha if hindi ako maintindihan. Okay, so let's have our chapter 3. This one is sampling from populations, the standard error of the mean. So meron tayong computations nito on the last part, pero hindi naman siya mahirap. Okay? Okay. Kay Ma'am Eroy, Krisha. You tell Ma'am Eroy ha, about that. Sige. So again, this afternoon, we will be distinguishing between samples and population. Though I have started discussing this one during our introduction with the statistics, and then describe the way in which sample size and the standard deviation jointly influence random sampling error, and show how the standard error of the mean or the SEM can be used to indicate the quality of a sampling scheme. These are our objectives this afternoon. So first, let's have a review what is a population. So sa statistics class, when you say population, this covers all the individuals na kasali doon sa target group of individuals or object na kung saan tayo magkakandak ng investigation and magdodraw ng ating conclusion. So when you say you want to study about the awareness of all the students of GSD-MSFI about COVID-19, then lahat class ng student na enrolled sa GSD-MSFI will be included in your population. So si population, nandoon lahat ng mga target natin na characteristics or mga properties. When an individual falls on that target, then he or she or even the object will be included in the population. However, I have mentioned that it would likely be impossible to do the like sa survey ha. It will be impossible for you to reach all the members of the population, especially if meron tayong problem with the geographical area. Okay lang sana kung sa GSD-MSFI, but if your population is like the whole Philippines, then yung hindi practical yung magkanda ka ng study sa whole population. That is why we do the sampling. So when you say sample, it's the representative taken out from the population. So it can be randomly selected and kukunin natin siya sa members ng mga population natin that we want to study. So I have already discussed the different sampling techniques. Please do review that one, kay that will constitute a big part of your prelim exam. So let's talk about the types of sampling error. Kasi meron naman tayong sampling techniques. We know how to get our samples, how to compute our sample size, and how to select our sample. Now let's talk about the sampling error. We only have two types of sampling error class. The first one is called the bias or the systematic error. Again, the first one is called the bias or systematic error. So when you say bias or systematic error, you have here misestimation of the mean. So pwedeng ma-overestimate mo ang iyong mean or pwede mo siyang ma-underestimate. So let's have an example para mas maintindihan what bias or systematic error means. Sa mga experimental na mga observations, when you say systematic errors, this may be attributed to the instrument na ginagamit. So, pwede siya because there is something wrong with the instrument. Like for example, we are using our analytical balance in the school. You want to measure weight of your object. However, if the analytical balance is not properly calibrated, then it will fall to systematic or bias error. You will still get diba, weights of your object. However, magkakaroon ng error doon since from the start, you have a problem with your instrument. So again, kapag ganon, na magkakaroon ka ng misestimation of your mean because of your instrument, it will be under the bias or the systematic error. So pwede din siyang something wrong on your data handling system, or because the instrument is wrongly used by the experimenter. So pwede din siya class na there is nothing wrong with your instrument. However, the handler itself, the researcher or the investigator, doesn't know how to handle the instrument properly. So, pwedeng magkaroon ng error doon sa measurement mo. So, ang tawag dyan again, bias or systematic error. Actually, bias or systematic error can be prevented. So how can we prevent that? Syempre, since we are talking about the instrument, we have to make sure that our instruments are properly calibrated before using it. And at the same time, as a researcher, we have to be knowledgeable enough on how to use our instruments. Okay, do you have questions about our systematic or bias error? Questions?
None po.
Sige. Okay. You just ask question, ha? You can butt in anytime. I won't mind. I don't mind it. If you will ask questions while I'm talking, no problem with that. Basig paspas kay ko mag-istorya. Okay. So let's have an example of a systematic error. So this time it doesn't, it has nothing to do with an instrument, but this one still falls under the systematic error because in this situation, you will have misestimation of the mean, okay? The mean of the score. So we say mean, it's the average. So ang scores na nakuha mo like sa iyong survey will have misestimation. So this one is the scenario. If you want to determine average alcohol consumption among the citizens of General Santos City, we might recruit our subjects by giving out questionnaires in a bar in the town center. So the average at which we would arrive is pretty obviously going to be higher than the true average for all citizens of the city. Very few of the city teetotalers will be present in the bar. So, bakit nagkaroon ng systematic error dito? In this case, the researcher wants to know the average alcohol consumption of the citizens of General Santos City. Now, the error takes place during the selection of the participants because the researchers might go to bars in the city and that the selected na mga participants will be those, syempre, na mga umiinom talaga ng alcohol. So, hindi mo naman kasi makikita, most likely yung mga teetotalers natin, when you say teetotalers, these are the individuals who abstain drinking alcohol, ha? So, hindi mo naman sila makikita in the bar. So, magkakaroon ka ng overestimation of the average alcohol consumption ng mga citizens of General Santos City. So, yun yung mali doon, bias error or systematic error. Now, I told you a while ago that this kind of error can be prevented. You just have to correct your, since hindi ito instruments, you just have to correct the process of selecting your participants. So, ingana na siya, ha? Questions about the systematic or bias error. May part doon na hindi naintindihan. Wala? Wala? Sige. So, let's continue. So, what are the characteristics of our bias or systematic error? So, if we were to repeat the same sampling procedure several times, we could pretty much guarantee that we would make an error in the same direction every time. This is the first characteristic of the bias error. If ulit-ulitin man natin yung ating procedure and then the same procedure ulit-ulitin natin, we would most likely get the same answer, the same na result. Okay? So yun yung bias error or systematic error. Therefore, if we will not correct our process or our procedure or even our instrument, then hindi ka din talaga makakakuha ng correct or tamang result. So with the drinking survey a while ago, most likely kung ulit-ulitin mo siya na pupunta ka pa rin sa bar, you will have overestimation of the consumption of alcohol of the citizens of General Santos City. So, ang bias or systematic error class actually arises or originates from the flaws in our experimental design. So, doon siya may mali sa experimental design natin, sa procedure natin, or sa ating protocol. That is why it can be prevented because if we correct our experimental designs, then most likely we will get accurate results. Okay? So we can remove the bias by improving our experimental design. So I hope now when you conduct your research, we can identify, we will always be aware of and we will always recognize these kinds of error para ma-prevent natin siya from happening and that we will get accurate results. So, ang gusto natin, class, is really accuracy. Accuracy. Tanggalin natin yung mga bias errors natin so we will get correct results. So, when you say accuracy, this refers to how close the measurement is to the true value of the quantity being measured. Okay? Pag malapit siya doon sa totoong value talaga ng whatever we are measuring, we call it accurate or our results are accurate. That's accuracy. So, kung nag-dart pa ka class, you will really hit the bullseye or you will hit malapit doon sa bullseye pag tinawag na accuracy. So, ito yung gusto natin. If we really want to know, yung sa scenario pa rin na example if we really want to know the average alcohol consumption of the citizens of General Santos City, then we will correct our design, experimental design, our data gathering procedure so that yung makuha natin na result will be malapit doon sa or close doon sa true value talaga. Okay? Questions? Wala. I hope nasabtan ha. Lamira baka itulog ning alauna ba? Actually, katulugon dyan ko diri. I'm in the school. Patulugon kayo ko. Kasi natulog na sad mo dira tingog sad mo panagsa. Diba, naghagok na. Sige ko istorya dire tapos naghagok na di ako mga ka-istorya. Okay? So let's move on. Let's have the random error. This is the second one. Dalawa lang sila class. Dalawang errors lang ito sa sampling. So the second one is called the random error wherein the samples actually have equal chance either ma-underestimate siya or ma-overestimate. However, unlike the bias or the systematic error, this type of error is likely the cause is unknown. Unknown siya. We cannot predict it. So there will be changes in the experiment that we cannot predict from the start. So unlike sa bias error na recognizable naman yung magiging error doon, especially sa part ng instruments. Dito, wala ka talagang hint, wala kang ma-predict na magkakaroon ng random error doon sa iyong pag-gather ng data. So, what are the principal characteristics of random error? So, pwede siyang ma-overestimate, pwede siyang ma-underestimate. merong equal chance kung saan papunta yung inyong overestimation, ay yung estimation ninyo ng inyong result. Doon kasi sa bias error class, when you look at the design, you will really see whether you will be underestimating your scores or overestimating it. Ma-identify mo talaga. Dito, you cannot identify it, so it has an equal chance na ma-overestimate or ma-underestimate. So even the best designed experiments are actually subject to random error because along the way, you will encounter changes in your experimental design or your procedure na inevitable. Dili nimo siya ma-predict and dili pud nimo siya maiwasan. So actually, it is impossible to get rid of the random error. Again, it is impossible to get rid the random error. So what are we going to do with the random error? This is the reason class na in research, we don't do single testing. Na for example, maghimo ko og bagong drug and I want to test this drug to an animal, like for example, the mice. Hindi pwede na sa isang mouse mo lang siya ibibigay and then i-check mo like antihypertensive yung titingnan mo. Hindi pwede na ibigay mo siya sa isang animal and then i-check mo agad yung BP niya and then you will give conclusion. Okay? Kasi may mga random errors along the way. Ang gagawin natin, we have series of trials, series of replicates, just to get precise na mga data. Kasi ang sa random error naman, kapag precise yung ating data, then most likely, manageable lang yung mga random errors natin. So, before that, let me define first what is precision, though I have defined this one dati. So when you say precision class, this refers to how close a number of measurements of the same quantity agree with each other. So kaya meron tayong trials, meron tayong replicates, kasi titingnan natin, i-compare natin yung mga results ng different trials like trial 1, trial 2, and trial 3 if the measurements agree with each other. Magkalapit lang sila with each other. So pag precise na, then most likely the result of your experiment is already good. So mo na siya ang reason. Kasi sa sunod pangutanon mo, nganong kadaghan man dyan na to i-test, nganong kailangan daghan nga subject ang hatagan sa atuang drug. Okay? So, we will look at the scores if they are close with each other. Okay? So, what are the factors controlling the extent of random sampling error? So, sa statistician's point of view, when it comes to the sample size, you will have a good result if you have big samples. Okay? Like, madami ang iyong tinest or kung nag-survey ka, madami ang iyong participants. And it will be considered a bad result if you have a very small sample. So that is why we really have to compute the correct sample size, a justifiable one, para ma-consider siya a good sample and then you will get a good result. And then variability within the data. So this is for everybody's point of view. If you compute the standard deviation of your results, if you have a big value for your standard deviation, that is considered a bad result. Meaning your data is dispersed and they vary from each other. They don't agree with each other if you have big standard deviation. So, ang gusto talaga natin when we conduct research, the results na makuha natin should have small standard deviation. Again, considered yan siya na good result if it has small standard deviation. Okay? Questions so far? This is just a very small chapter, a very short one. I think I only have 19 slides for this, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's 20. So that is why I told you a while ago that I might start a new chapter after this. So makastart ang chapter ani, kung wa mo'y pangutan, nadugangan ninyo ang exam. Actually, wala pa ako nagpasa og exam. Kay, I'm waiting kung ang tudasa ang akong kaya humanon. Okay? Wala, sure na yun na. So let's have the standard error of the mean. Again, the standard error of the mean, or we abbreviate this as SEM. Okay? So sa statistics, SEM actually reflects the quality of a sampling scheme based upon the sample size and the standard deviation among the data being sampled. So ang purpose jud ni SEM in statistics is actually to provide an estimate of the sampling error na pwedeng ma-anticipate. And na siya, given that the sample size and the variability among the data being sampled, ang kailangan lang nimo diri sa standard error of the mean is actually the standard deviation sa imuhang results divided by the square root of the sample size. So mao lang na imuhang kailangan para ma-compute mo ang SEM, and most likely ma-estimate nato na naay sampling error na nahitabo during the conduct sa study. So unsa ang iyahang interpretation? Before ta mag-solve, let's talk about its interpretation. So a high SEM, if after solving you get a high value of the standard error of the mean, that will tell you that the sampling scheme is weak, and most likely ang imuhang results na generate is most likely na ay large random sampling errors. Pero if you have a low na SEM or standard error of the mean, meaning you have more precise na scheme where random errors will be small. So for example, class, let me get my pen first. So for example, let us see your assignment. Have you passed your assignment? Katong anxiety man to, diba?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anxiety. Let me open my JASP first. What is your computed standard deviation sa assignment ninyo? Ito good.
5.77, ma'am.
5 point. Assignment to? Dili tong quiz kagahapon, ha?
Oo, ma'am. Sa
Copy and 5.77.
Okay, 5.77. That is for the pre-anxiety. Pwede mo ulaw? Wait lang ha. Wait lang. Kasi na-open na siya. So, atuan na lang siyang ipakita. Wait. What did you use? You used your software or you did it manually?
Manual, ma'am, kay nagalag ang Just.
Ah, nagalag.
Oo,
May
ma'am.
iban ma'am, wala niya gina-solve ma'am. Tingnan ako.
Oo.
Na
Para day
siya.
ma'am, i-change itong murag something sa task good ma'am sa kuan.
Wait ha.
Tumurag ruler go na sign.
Sige. Wait lang. So, ganun ako nag-save. Research capability building, anxiety.
Ang sa ko, hindi nagagawa ang frequency something, ma'am. Sa Just. Hindi siya maglabas.
Di siya magawas.
Sa akin,
Sa
ginatry
ano,
ko eh.
sa first.
Dili siya makatog table, ma'am.
Yung
Ano day,
descriptive nyo lang.
Okay, sige. Can you see the software sa screen? Akong i-share?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sige.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's open a file. Anxiety mo to, diba? Anxiety. So this is how you do it. You will get the pre-anxiety and the post-anxiety sa inyong software. And then, diba, I told you to click descriptives. And then, first, for example, pre-anxiety sa. So, ilipat mo siya dyan sa variables and then automatic, it will give you the following descriptive na mga statistics like the standard deviation, the mean, the minimum, and the maximum. Now, if you want to generate a frequency distribution table, you have to click this here.
di na siya magawas ma'am. Kaya na kayo wala na pindot kayo na ma'am.
Asa na to?
Kita ka na ano ma'am, murag ruler dapit sa pre-anxiety ma'am. I-change na mo na siya ma'am sa kuan ma'am.
Wait, sorry. Let me redo it, ha? Kasi naka-scale siya. Oh. What is this? Naka-scale man pa rin talaga siya. Well, let's try. If it will give you frequency distribution. Ayan. Ayan, kasi naka-scale siya. By the way, balikan ako itong ruler, kagaina. Ano siya ha? Pag i-click mo niya siya, you will see there what type of data is written under this column. So, for example, sa pre-anxiety, you have to identify what type of data is that. Nominal ba siya? Di ba pag nominal, it's categorical. Kung pwede babae, lalaki, kung sa employment, employed or not employed, basta categorical, di ba, pag nominal. And then pag ordinal, there will be ranking. And then for the scale, it's in the interval or the ratio, giisa na siya. So, dili siya muhatag og frequency distribution table kung naka-scale imuhang data. So, you have to make this as a nominal one para categorized siya. And then, click that, ibalhin siya direct sa pre-anxiety, and then you click the frequency distribution table, or frequency tables. This is for nominal and ordinal variables, lamang good ang frequency table. So, I hope na ano ninyo, nasundan ninyo ha, for the next time, kasi di siya mag-appear. Okay? So, the computed standard deviation here is 5.766, or we can round this up to 5.77. Now, what is, pila ni siya kabuok ato ang data? That will be the sample size. So, kanang valid din ha. O na siya ang ato ang sample size, 29. So, gamito nato siya to compute for our standard error of the mean. Okay? So, kana na lang sa ato ang gamiton. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. Ayan. So, let me write on the screen first. So, we have the SEM here. Our standard deviation is 5.77 divided by square root of our sample size. Remember, it's 29. Please get your calculator, class. Ready ta mo ato gera. What is the square root of 29? Sorry. 5.77 divided by the square root of 29 is, syempre, taas kaayo. It's 5.38516480807. So our SEM here is 5.77 divided by the 5.385164807 is 1.07. Okay, so again, that is our standard error of the mean. And then as you can see, it's just 1. And most likely that is considered a low SEM, which means na you have more precise scheme when you when kaniha result ko pag-gather ani, you have more precise scheme, and most likely the error is small. Muna siya ang pag-compute sa SEM. Now let's differentiate the standard deviation and the SEM, kasi basig maglibog mo nga parehas raman sila actually sa dispersion, pero ang ilahang kalahian manggod sa standard deviation, it will measure the amount of variability or dispersion from the individual data values to the mean. Ang ginatanaw manggod sa standard deviation, diba, you have series of results. Parehas atong sa pre-anxiety, you have 29 results there. Ang ginatanaw sa standard deviation is how close the 29 are with each other and how close the individual scores from 1 to 29, how close is the score sa mean nga nakuha. Okay? So, pila ba tong mean nga nakuha kagaina? Wait lang. Pila tong mean nga nakuha kaya na forgot. It's 21.03. So, muna siyang gina-measure sa standard deviation. Kung how close the individual scores is to the computed mean, or how close the scores are to each other. Again, muna siya ang sa standard deviation, ha. However, ang standard error of the mean or the SEM, ang gina-measure niya is how far the sample mean of the data is likely to be from the true population mean. So, ang iyahad yung importance is gina-check sa standard error of the mean kung how close the sample mean. Diba, remember when we do research, we don't include all the members of the population. So you will get the sample only. And ang na-compute nato na mean is for the sample pud siya. So to check if that sample mean is close to the true population mean, atong gina-compute si SEM. So pag you will get a small SEM, meaning the variability between the sample mean and the true population mean is also small. Okay? So wala kaayo sila nagkalayo with each other. And mo na itong gusto kasi the sample class should be a representative of the population. Therefore, ang nakuha nato nga score, ang mean niya, dapat dili pod layo dito sa true population mean. So, mana siya atong target to get a small value for the SEM. Okay? So, the SEM class is always smaller than the standard deviation pag naga-compute ta. That ends the chapter 3. Questions? Wala. Kaya lang, no? Wala challenge statistics, no? Wala challenge class. Ako exam is over 80. And you expect, syempre, computations sa measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. And I'll include this one, though this is not really difficult. You just have to be familiar with the with the formula. You just have to get the standard deviation and then divide it sa square root ng sample size. So walay kurat pag-abot sa SEM. Kailangan lang ninyo maintindihan unsa ang gamit ni SEM and how do you interpret the value of the SEM and the importance of the standard deviation. Okay?
Ma'am, sa exam, ma'am, mag-plot-plot po may og table, ma'am.
No. What do you mean table? The frequency.
I mean, manually, manually, ma'am ba? Bali, mag-take ba kami ng pictures or mag-prepare ba kami ng spare na paper?
Ay, dili na. Dili mo pahimuon ng frequency distribution table sa exam. Basta kabalo na ta maghimo og frequency distribution table, ha? You just have to list down the scores and then bilangon nimo ko pila ka buok ang score na. Like for example, score number 1, pila siya ka buok. That's the frequency. Okay? Sa range, depende sa data nga gihatag Mervin. Pero most likely, ang mga ginahatag na data is ungrouped. So, mga individual scores sila. So, sa range, most likely, the individual scores, the ungrouped data itong gamiton. Okay? Anything else? Subtan to class. So, sa sunod ha na mag-research ta, labi na pag mag-experimental ta na research, I will be checking your standard deviations. Kaya din ha, di mo makita kung nag-agree ba with each other ang atuang mga results. Kung precise ba sila. Kasi kapag kataas kayo na inyong standard deviation, most likely mag-repeat experiment ta kasi nag-expect na ko na, nakita na based sa standard deviation ang mga errors nga nahitabo. Na-adjud mo yung errors along the way. That is why wala nag-agree with each other in your result. And it really happened because na ay mga previous batches na naka-repeat jud sila og experiment kay pagtan-aw silang standard deviation abot og 72. Takura kayo siya nga value for the standard deviation. Abot jud siya 72. I think to siya. If I'm not mistaken, it's blood glucose lowering to siya nga study. And wala nag-agree with each other ang blood glucose na ilahang nakuha sa ilahang mga animals. Mana siya dapat kabalo mo mag-interpret. Pag kita pa lang ninyo daan ang inyong mga results, ay makabalo na mo nga na ay something wrong with that. So before pa mag-defense, dapat na-check na nakita na para walay mag-repeat experiment. Because when you say repeat experiment, that's another gastos because you have to purchase another set of animals, and then aside from the animals, inyuha pang mga gamit, inyuhang effort, inyuhang time. So naamoy ginahabol na time for graduation. So kung mag-repeat experiment, pagka-problema na for your graduation. Any concerns pa?
Ma'am, dili siya about sa klase, ma'am. Pero about sa maging research sa sunod, ma'am, required pa ba na kami pa mag-solve sa ANOVA? Or kanang, di ba may mga laboratories man na bayaran na lang tapos na anang result, tapos i-sum up na lang ang methodology, good, ma'am?
What do you mean? Depende siya sa study?
Sa experimental, ma'am. Kay, di ba, ang uban na laboratories, for example, naghatag nami og kunwari about hypoglycemic activity of certain na tanom, tapos ihatag na namo sa activity, tapos sila na mag-conduct sa kumbaga ang tagani mo result na lang, good, ma'am. Tapos mo na to, kumbaga ang methodology is i-expand na lang.
Okay. So I get na ko imong question. It depends on the study. Pero sa imuhang example na hypoglycemic activity of the plant, since that is very doable, you really have to do that experiment. Ang mga experiments na wala na to gina-conduct diri sa school, ginapa-test na lang nila sa mga outside ng mga laboratories, kato po mga studies na wala tay instrument diri. For example, you want to check the heavy metal content of the cosmetics. For example, ang lipstick, naaman dyan na lead, di ba? So, kung gusto ninyo i-check ang lead content, I'm talking about the element na lead, the metal. Gusto ninyo ma-check kung unsa kadaghan ang lead sa lipstick. Wala tay gamit diri sa school for that. Because ang gamit ana is the atomic absorption spectrophotometry. It's a very expensive machine. So, mo na siya ang type sa study nga ginapatest nato sa gawas. Okay? Pero ang kanang imuhang question, Alicia, ano na siyang answer din ha? Depende sa study. Kung naara ang gamit diri sa eskwelahan, you have to do the experiment. But pag wala, sa gawas yun na siya. Ano? Pero ang hypoglycemic nga activity na aragid na siya diri sa eskwelahan. O na daghag ilaga diri ron sa pharma lab. Kaya na nagkakandak og study nga hypoglycemic karon. Anything else? So tanawon nato inyong study puhon. Mag-isip-isip na mo. The research is by group. However, you cannot choose your group. You cannot choose your group mate. Wala pa gina siya nahitabo nga ever since you can choose your group mate sa research. Ang disadvantage lang, actually, doing an experimental research is kind of fulfilling because, feeling nimo pharmacist yung ka. The disadvantage lang is, it's expensive. Expensive lang, Jude, ang experimental na research. Kay, for example, akong master's nga study, kaming duha ni Ma'am Eroy, although that's individual ha. Individual study kasi sa master's unlike sa undergrad na by group. So, kato, experimental study to. And if I'm not mistaken, abot itong 100K akong gasto ato. Ako nakabawi, namulubin ako karon. 100K din ako ang gasto ato sa study na to. Pero it's fulfilling because my research is like, pwede siya ma-attribute as anti-cancer drug. Kana lang. So, na ang uban estudyante, wala sila nag-propose, labi na if they have problem with their funds. Wala sila nag-propose og experimental na research. So, most of the time, mga social sciences lang na mga research like conducting survey of something na ilahang ginabuhat. Dili lang siya kaayo kanang feeling nimo pharmacist jud ka kung kana imuhang research mag-survey ana. Okay, that's all for the chapter 3. I still have time. Any more concerns? Malay na. Chapter 4. You can access the copy of the slides. Schoology have already uploaded them. Sige, I'll start another chapter. Pero kani akong i-start nga chapter, it's not actually difficult. Ano lang po niya siya? 21 slides. Ang chapter manggod sa statistics, very short lang. So I can finish 2 chapters Kaya lang nabitin lang ko sa time itong mga niagi because of the brownout and then another thing, itong wala may internet. So this is chapter 4. Wait, let me Yan. So let's talk about the chapter 4, data presentation. This is the different types or different ways of presenting our data. So in this chapter, we will be describing the use of numerical tables, bar charts, pie charts, pictorial symbols, and scattergrams. And then we will identify which type of data is appropriate for each method of presentation. When you say type of data, it can be again nominal, ordinal, pwede din siya interval or ratio. So, depende sa atong data kung sa ang mga applicable na ways of presenting it. And then assess the strengths and weaknesses of each method. So, let us start with this. So, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Data should be assessed both pictorially and statistically. So, sa research class, we always present our data. Pwede siya textual in words, but most of the time, we really use mga pictorial representations for easy identification and understanding. So pictures often reveal unsuspected aspects of the data, and then statistics provide an objective test of what the data really does or does not demonstrate. So the first way of presenting the data and the most widely used way in research is the use of numerical tables. So the strength of using numerical table is it will give you the full detail of the original data. So pag table class, i-table na to itong data, makitaan dyan na to tanan kung unsa ang ato ang nakuha during the study. And since available ang full detail of the original data, then reanalysis will be possible. So kung naay gusto mag-analyze ulit or kung gusto nimo uliton imuhang analysis, then you can do that because you have all the necessary data available in the table. So, however, the weakness, what's the bad thing of using the numerical table? So these tables are rather forbidding and lacking in immediacy. So kapag the readership, if ang reader class is highly numerate, right, kayo, no? Like kung pharma na study, tapos ang nagbasa sa imong result, pharmacist sad. So that will be considered highly numerate. So they will not be put off by this table. Pagtanaw nila, okay, mao na siya iyahang ginamin. Pagkita niya sa table, nakasabot na siya dayon. Dili siya, dili siya ma-amaze. Nakasabot na siya dayon unsay nakabutang. But if the table is being presented to lay audience, so like ang pharmacy na study, gi-present dito sa non-pharma. So the person most likely glaze over all higher intellectual functions. All higher intellectual functions would face imminent shutdown. Naglibog na siya unsay nakasulat unsa may ginapasabutan ng tanang numbers nga naa sa table. So there is lacking in immediacy, dili dayon siya masabtan, especially if lay audience ang nagbasa. So for example, we have 3 different anti-emetic drugs. What's the meaning sa anti-emetic drugs gani? Na naman siguro may mga what you call that? Na naman alam about drugs, di ba? Kahit papano. So what's the meaning pag mingon kag anti-emetic drugs? Para asa man na?
Suka-suka, ma'am.
Okay, so when you say class emesis, so that's vomiting. So in this scenario, we have 3 anti So anti-suka, anti-emetic drugs to be used in conjunction with a chemotherapy regime. Kapag pag nag-chemotherapy ang isa ka person, after the chemotherapy, it is expected that the cancer patient will be experiencing nausea and vomiting. Naman na siya nga, in addition to the chemotherapy, sabay siya, ginahatagan na itong anti-emetic drug. So, one is our current standard medicine. So, natin mga anti-emetic drugs na sa market, like metoclopramide. That's an example. Let me write it sa screen kay ang ato bang Schoology kay wrong spelling wrong. Sulat na to sa screen. Ang pinakasikat na brand for this is Plasil. So, napay ibang brands, ha? So, again, that's an example of a standard anti-emetic drug in the market, the metoclopramide or Plasil. So, again, one is our current standard medicine, and then we have two new candidates. So we want to look at the degree of nausea reported when they are used. So each anti-emetic is administered to 30 patients, and they assess nausea on a 4-point ordinal scale. So pag nag-score sila og 1, meaning after taking the drug, wala sila nausea na na-feel. And then, 2 for slight, 3 moderate, and 4 severe. So, pag gihimuan niyo siya og table, the table looks like this. So, this is, syempre, kailan matatanan og table class na this is the numerical table here. So, table number 1, number of patients reporting varying degrees of nausea following use of 3 different anti-nausea drugs. So, this is for the current standard. 3 reported na wala sila na-feel the nausea after the treatment. 6 ang slight, and then 19 for moderate, and then 2 ka severe. And then for candidate 1 and 2, mauni ang mga scores. So kung pharmacist ka, you will really understand what is written on the table agad-agad. But if you are not a pharmacist, then magnanga na lang ka unsa daw ning mga numbers diri. So ang pangutana, nasabtan ba ninyo unsay naa sa table? Unsay ginamin ani? Daw kamo daw. Nasabtan ba? Wala. Katug na mo. Katug na mo, class. Wala pa man po siguro na napa may uban mata, no? So, para sa mga natulog, balikin na ninyo ang recording, ani. Kaya wag nga tani sa exam. Yes.
Ma'am, ayaw sad.
Uy, look, ay di ba, nakita na ninyo ang schedule sa exam. Looking at the exam, siga ako mata, ano ko, number 1 doon ang statistics.
First day lang naman.
Number 1 dyan ang statistics na exam 1. Pero okay lang na at least humanain yung stats, and then you can concentrate to your major subjects. Ano sa major subjects ninyo ron? BBS?
Biochem.
BBS, Biochem, o Informatics. Ang ay mga labs.
Okay. BBS. Ano siya ang isa sa pinaka-hate na kong subject. Hindi ko ganahan ng subject class na sige memorize. Kapuyan, di ko mag-memorize. Ilang murag. Dili man good siya, like, kanabang basta kapuyan lang po. So, di ko ganahan ng BBS. Muna siya ang, sa dili na ko siya ganahan, isa na siya sa area sa board exam na lowest na ko. Hindi ko ganahan na nga subject. Lowest yun ako na siya sa board exam. Biochem. Ang biochem, ganahan ko na. Though, daghan ko na siya i-memorize. Pero for me, I consider that as kanang brain exercise. Brain exercise na siya para sa ako. So, pag ganing ma-challenge ka, wala siya ako ang gusto, biochem. Pero I never had a chance to teach that one. Kanang biochem. Nag-ano lang ko, nag-review ko to others. Pero wala pa akong ka-teach na dire sa biochem. Kaya na ni Ma'am Cherry. So, laban ra gyud mo na inyong biochem. So, baliktad na siya sa DBS. Kung ang DBS, lowest na ko na siya sa board exam. Ang biochem, na siya kung highest. Kay kanang the more na challenging ang subject, the more kanang ganahan ko, di ba? Challenging ang biochem. Utoy mong utok. So, tama ito yung ni Alicia. Kaning mga numbers din mauni siya ang mga number of patients. So, sana all. Sana all nakutoy yung utok. Wala pa nakutoy yung utok. Second year na mo, dapat nakutoy na yung utok sa mga subjects ninyo.
Lutang, ma'am, lutang.
Lutang mo. Ay mo sige nilutang-lutang din kay daghan para ba mag-agian. Kanang farm informatics, I don't consider that. It's not considered major subject. For me. Kapoy kayo, sige. Research. Okay, ang mga tawang numbers and they are rated according sa experience nila. Yes. So, ni siya ang meaning ani? Sa current na standard na drug, na ay tatlo na wala sila na feel na nausea after taking it. And then na ay 6 na slightly na sila na feel na nausea. And then na ay 19 kabuok na moderate ilahang na feel na nausea. And then duha ka severe. And then that is true also for candidates 1 and 2. Kung pila ka tao ang nag-report sa extent sa nausea nga ilahang na feel. So based on the numbers, what can you conclude? What can you conclude?
Mas daghan na patients na sa moderate na condition, ma'am.
Yeah, mas daghan ang patients na after taking the drugs, they feel moderate na nausea. What else?
Ang candidate number 2 ang mas effective, ma'am, na anti-nausea drugs.
Okay, so just by looking at the numbers, you can easily identify kinsa ka ang mas effective sa ilaha. Kasi remember, kailangan wala sila na feel na nausea after taking the drug. So pag abot nimo sa candidate number 2, there are more people here na wala sila na feel na nausea. And then naalay 12 na slight, and unlike the current standard and the candidate 1, lesser pod ang number of people na naay na feel na nausea na they rank it as moderate. And then isa lang ang nakafeel og severe na nausea. So that's how you interpret the table. Okay? Questions? Anything else na you want to clarify? Play. Okay, so let's move on to bar charts and histograms. Sa bar charts and histograms, any of the 3 types of the data can be presented using this. So, pwede siya interval, ordinal, or nominal. Okay? This is how a simple bar chart looks like. So, for example, this one is for every year. And like unit din kung pila ka tao. So, kung bar chart, isa-isahon lang nimo sa 2001, like pila ka unit or pila ka tao, hangtod sa, depende kung unsa imuhang gina-graph. So, again, this is a simple bar chart. Now, you can also use a 3-dimensional bar chart wherein imuhang daghan man gud ni siya og data, daghan siya og variables. So you have the counting here, the frequency here, and then you have the the subjects here, mga pangalan ni sila, mga subjects. And on the other side, since 3-dimensional bar chart siya, so on the other side, so pwede ni siya nga kani direction guru ni nila. But however, if tulo imuhang variables or ingani kadaghan imuhang variables, then you can use this type of bar chart. Pwede pud nato ni siya himuon. And then we have stop bar chart, kanang imuha silang itapad-tapad class para actually ano ni siya for like easy comparison. So easy comparison of the different variables. So like pila ka buok ang strongly agree na the facilitates are easy to get to, tapad-tapad nimo sila. So makitanday nimo kung ano, unsa kadaghan ang blue kani siya, mao ni siya ang ginamini niya, and then ang red, so the facilitates have a good range of activities. Ang green, they are family friendly, and violet, the changing rooms are clean. Kana stock bar chart ang tawag pag makita ninyo ni siya. Pwede po ni siya pahigda class ha, like diri ang strongly agree, and then ang bars are like ano siya, naka horizontal. Pwede po siya yung ato pagka sulat. And if you see this type of chart, we call it a histogram. So histogram ni siya. Ang histogram manggod is actually a bar chart po siya. Siyempre, you have the bars gihapon. However, ang imuhang data is originally continuous, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. And then ang imuhang gihimo is you group them together, and then mao ni siya nga nagdugtong-dugtong na imuhang bar chart. So unlike this one, di ba, isa-isa gyud ni siya, no? Isa-isa, like kada year. Pag abot sa histogram, like itapok nimo, like ang mga age 21 to 22, isa sila ka bar, so pila sila ka buok, frequency dire. And then ang mga age 23 to 25, isa pud sila ka group, then you count pila ilahang frequency. So mo na nga tapad-tapad na pud ang imuhang histogram. Okay? So again, that's the difference between a bar chart and a histogram. So what is good about using this? Ang bar chart actually will give you excellent immediacy, meaning when you look at the bar, makitaan na yun nimo nga like this one. Mas daghan tong 2006 kesa sa uban na mga years. After 2006, you have 2003. That's excellent immediacy. Makitaan dayon nimo. Unlike sa table manggod nga, isa-isahon pa nimo siya og tan-aw until maka-arrive ka sa imong conclusion nga mas effective ang candidate number 2. Kani, diretso na pag tan-aw nimo mas dako iyahang bar, siya ang pinaka like for example effective or siya ang pinaka daghan. So that's one thing about the bar charts. Okay? So again, it will give you excellent immediacy for all main messages and most likely reasonably friendly. And then what is bad about using this type of presenting data? Often difficult to include exact values without loss of clarity. So unlike the table man good na you will see all the details. However, when you use the bar charts, there will be details na dili nimo mabutang dito sa imong bar chart or even sa imong histogram. Bina sa imong histogram kasi you group together your scores. So di na nimo makita kung pila jud ang like 24 or pila ka buok ang 25. Mawala na to siya sa picture kasi naka-group na siya. So next, we have the pie charts. So this is useful for nominal type of data. So do not forget class, pag sinabing nominal type of data, these are our data nga in categories. So if your data is in categories, then you can use this type of presentation. So this is how a pie chart looks like. Kung naa kay different na mga categories, it will actually also give you immediacy since sa paghati pa lang nimo sa pie, you can see there unsay pinakadaghan ug unsay pinakagamay. Okay, so this is friendly. Again, it will give you excellent immediacy, especially when you want to convey frequencies like unsay pinakadaghan, unsay pinakagamay. And then what is the disadvantage of using this? This is only appropriate for nominal type of data, meaning you can't use the pie chart if your data is ordinal or itong mga interval scale na to. And aside from that, dili nimo dayon you cannot easily include mga full details and mga exact values. Okay? And then we have the scatter plots. Ang scatter plots naman is ginagamit natin if we want to present relationship between two variables or between two measured parameters. So take note that when you make a scatter plot, the dependent variable, remember the types of variables that we discussed sa chapter 1, the dependent variable will be plotted on the y-axis, the vertical one. The y-axis is your dependent variable, and then the horizontal one, the x-axis, will have the independent variable. So this is how a scatter plot looks like. So in this example, you have there the percent of cannabis na paggamit, and on the other side, this one is the x-axis, the dependent variable. So we have here the cocaine percent using. So independent ni siya. This is what we manipulate in the study. And then kung tanaw na to ang relationship, kung nagagamit ba sila cannabis, mugamit pud ba sila og cocaine. So tanaw nimo sa scatter plot kung asa siya padulong. So pasaka ni siya, most likely the relationship is positive. Na pag nagagamit og cannabis, nagagamit pud og cocaine. Cannabis is like marijuana. The scientific name sa marijuana is, what's the scientific name of marijuana? Can you still remember?
Cannabis sativa, ma'am.
Okay. So, wala siya cannabis ang nakasulat. Cannabis sativa. Okay? And the last one is the pictorial symbols. However, we don't really use this sa research. Most likely sa mga books, pag elementary, ginagamit ng pictorial symbols. So this is how a pictorial symbol looks like. Kanang butangan gani nimo og picture, tapos naana siya legend, like isa ka na wong represents 10 students. So like sa class 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you have 70 students sa class 1. Man akong ginaingon nga, we don't use this widely sa research, but in elementary books you can see many pictogram or pictorial symbols. Yan. So again, these are the ways na i-present nato itong mga na-collect na data when we do research. Ha? Kasi ang statistics of research, kambal gini silang duhat. Hindi gina sila pwede maghiwalay. Depende lang kung you have qualitative research na wala kay statistics. But do not forget that the most widely used presentation of data is the numerical table. But when you use the numerical table, it should be followed by a textual presentation. When you say textual presentation, you have to explain what is written in the table. Kasi remember, the disadvantage of using this is it lacks immediacy. Dili nimo siya dayon masabtan just by looking at what is written in the table. You have to, as a researcher, you really have to explain it further. Okay? Questions, class, about 200 ka chapters ato ang nahuman.